So, welcome blah 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 and blah blah blah, so let's get started. And in today's video we're gonna talk about everything you wanted to know about 2 to the power 0, but were afraid to ask. And since this is a very important and fundamental question in math, I'm gonna grab my phone, here it is, and I'm gonna ask some random people down the street, so bye! Do you know what is 2 to the power of 0?
Probably 0.
Well, I'll go with 2 since he's going with 0.
It's 1, right?
It's 1, you think?
It's 1.
It's 1, are you sure? And do you know how to prove it?
Absolutely not.
So here we're back. I'm gonna try to convince you that 2 to the power 0 is actually 1, and I'm gonna give you at least 10 proofs of that. So here we go with the first proof. You have 2 parents, and then you have 4 grandparents, and 8 grandparents, and 16 grandparents. And you can write that as 2 to the power 4, 16. And 2 to the power 3 is 8, and 2 to the power 2 is 4, and 2 to the power 1 is 2, and so 2 to the power 0 must be 1. And that's actually you.
I think it's 0.
You think it's 0?
1.
It's 1, you think?
Yeah.
Well, why?
Why?
So you want another proof. So here we go. You have a sheet of paper and you fold it in half many times. And the first time you fold it in half, you get 2 layers. But then you get 4 layers and 8 layers and 16 layers. And you go on like that. But 16 is 2 to the power 4 and 2 to the power 3, 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 1. So 2 to the power 0 must be your sheet of oh, sorry. I'm not so good with English, but I hope you get the idea. Quanto fa 2 alla 0?
1.
1. E perché secondo voi?
Perché...
So you want more proofs, and I'll give you more proofs. So bear with me because I have some secrets up my sleeve. So, you have a trunk, the trunk of a tree, and on the first ear it produces 2 branches like that. And then each branch produces 2 branches, so you get 4, 8, etc. And you know the story, you keep on going, and so 2 to the power 0 must be the trunk, that is 1. That's just another representation of your parents and grandparents, but that also works in reverse, like that. And so you start with 1 bacteria, and it duplicates and you get 2 bacteria, 4 bacteria, etc. And so the powers of 2 represents duplication. 2 elevado a 0.
1.
1. ¿Y sabes por qué?
Pues no, el motivo no lo sé.
If water lilies double every day and they fill the pond in 100 days, how many days will they need to fill half of the pond? So leave your answers in the comments below and like the video. And here we go with more proofs. I can hear you. Yes, I can hear all the academic people saying, yeah, that's very nice, or really empirical facts and proofs. But don't you have Guzmat or Guzman, whatever your name is, some more rigorous proofs? And yes, I do have lots of rigorous proofs, and here's one. So, consider the first rule of powers. 2 to the n times 2 to the m is equal to 2 to the n plus m. And I'm gonna show you why this is true if you don't remember. So 2 to the n is 2 times 2 times 2 and times. And 2 to the m is 2 times 2 times 2 m times. And when you multiply them together, you get 2 to the n plus m. That's easy. So consider now 2 to the power 3 times 2 to the power 0. And according to the rule, that must be 2 to the power 3. But 2 to the power 3 is 8, so we get 8 times 2 to the power 0 equal to 8. And therefore, from there, we need to have 2 to the power 0 equal to 1, because 8 times 2 to the power 0 must be 8 again. So if we want the rule of powers to be true, we need to have 2 to the 0 equal to 1. But we can also use the division of powers. 2 to the 3 divided by 2 to the 2 is equal to 2 times 2 times 2 divided by 2 times 2. And we can simplify and we get 2 to the 3 minus 2. And more generally, 2 to the n divided by 2 to the m is equal to 2 to the n minus m. And we can use that like this. Consider 2 to the 3 divided by 2 to the 3, and we are gonna calculate that in 2 ways. First of all, we can say that that is equal to 2 to the 3 minus 3 according to the previous rule. And so we get 2 to the power 0. But on the other hand, 2 to the 3 is 8. So we get 8 divided by 8. And that is 1. So those two numbers must be equal. Quanto dovrebbe fare 2 alla 0? Secondo te, come sensazione, come idea, quanto vorresti che facesse 2 alla 0?
Dovrebbe essere 0.
Secondo te dovrebbe
Dovrebbe
fare
essere 0 perché 2 alla prima sarebbe 2.
giusto?
Però 2 alla 0 in realtà non dovrebbe neanche essere 0.
Che cosa
Perché
dovrebbe
non-
essere? È
perché non è
strano.
moltiplicazione.
Non, non si moltiplica nulla e quindi cosa viene?
Viene un simbolo strano come greco sicuramente.
And now you want more abstract proofs. And here you go. So 0 is the neutral element of the sum operation. So if you don't add anything, you get 0. Likewise, 1 is the neutral element of the multiplication. So if you don't multiply anything, you get 1. And I want to clarify these 2 points. So if you have to add numbers, you will start from 0. For example, if I have to count my friends, I'll start from 0 and then I'll stop at 0, but that's another problem. And if you have to multiply the numbers in a list, you have to start with 1 and then you multiply all the numbers that come. But if you start from 0 and you multiply, you will always get to 0. And we mathematicians like to write this with some fancy notations that I really love, like this. The sum over the empty set is 0, while the product over the empty set is 1. And if you're not convinced that the product over the empty set is 1, I'm gonna give you a completely different proof that maybe you can relate more to.
1.
1. And do you know why?
Because when you reduce an exponent, a 0 is taken away.
Yeah?
So if you do like 10 power 5, for example,
Yeah.
which is like 100,000,
Yeah?
if you do 10
You're
power
really good.
4, it becomes 10,000. So it's a tenth less.
Okay.
So then you
So you reduce,
Yeah.
and when you get to 10 to the power of
And-
0, you get...
10 power 0 becomes 1 because the last 0 goes away.
That's a really good proof. I like it.
Thank you.
High five. If you multiply 3 copies of the straight lines representing the real numbers, you get a 3D space, the Cartesian space. And if you only multiply 2 copies of those lines, you get the Cartesian plane, a 2D space. And if you only multiply, so to speak, 1 copy of the real numbers of the line representing the real numbers, you get a 1-dimensional space, a 1-dimensional line. And if you don't multiply anything at all, you will get a 0-dimensional space, which is a point. So, when you don't multiply anything, you get a single object, a single point. No multiplication, a single object. Something to the power 0 is 1. I hope you like this proof. What's the result of 2 to the power of 0?
It's impossible. It's 0.
And if you like logs, logarithms, here's a quick proof. Consider log 2 base 2. You can write that as log of 2 times 1. And if you know the rules of logarithms, which actually derive from the rules of powers, you can write that as log 2 plus log 1. Therefore, log 2 is log 2 plus log 1, and therefore log 2, log 1, must be 0. That is, the power I have to raise to is 0 if I want to get 1. That's it. ¿Cuánto hace 2 a la 0?
0.
Here's another proof using logic. In logic, you have, for example, the sentences A, B, and C, and if you write the sentence A and B and C with the AND operator, that is only true if all the sentences are true. And this really resembles what happens with multiplication with numbers. If you have 3 numbers A, B, and C and you multiply them, then the result is non-zero only if all the numbers are non-zero. And in logic, you also have the OR operation, which resembles the plus operation, but I don't want to get into that, so let's go back to the AND operation. Consider a set of sentences and consider the AND operation between all the sentences in that set. And so the AND operation will be true only if every sentence in the set is true. Let's try to be very careful here. The AND operation between the sentences in a set is true only if every sentence in the set is true. But now what happens if the set is empty? We have to check if every sentence in that set is true. But there's nothing to check. Every sentence in the empty set is true because there are no sentences to check. So the AND operation in the empty set is true. And likewise, the empty product of an empty set of numbers is 1. So 2 to the power 0 must be 1 because when you have nothing to multiply, you get 1. And that's very useful also in programming languages and in combinatorics, and everybody agrees that that's really useful. Also ChatGPT agrees. Let's check. ChatGPT is at capacity right now. He can't answer all our dumb questions, but yesterday he told me that 2 to the power 0 is 1, and he was quite good at explaining it in his grammar law style, so I'm gonna ask my cat. Hey, how are you? What's 2 to the power 0? Meow. That means 1. Great. Bye. And I'm gonna also ask my daughter. Can you come here? I'm a mathematician, so my daughter must know. What's 2 to the power 0?
1.
She said 1. What's 2 to the power 0?
0.
No, it's 1. 2 alla 0.
1.
Grandissimo. E sai dimostrare perché?
Assolutamente no.
Assolutamente no. Before going to the last and more powerful proof, let's recap. Every time you multiply by 2, you increase the exponent. And every time you divide by 2, you decrease the exponent. So when you divide 2 to the 1 by 2, you get 2 to the power 0, which must be 1. And you can go on. You can also get 2 to the power minus 1, which must be 1/2. And you can go on like that. And here's the last proof. I have a good friend that I once chat in Facebook, and he told me that he's a teacher and that 2 to the power 0 is 1. So I believe him. On the other hand, there are many groups on Facebook that discuss the result of 3 to the power 0. So I went to my hairstylist and hairdresser, which is really good, and asked him, and he told me that he remembers from school that 2 to the power 0 is 0. So the doubt remains. And we also have to face 0 to the power 0, but that's too much for today. So that's it. Hope you liked it. Ciao, ciao, and I'll catch you on the next one.